In a world that's all about going green, you have to wonder, where does a company built on coal actually fit in? So today, we're going to dive into how an industrial giant, one that's literally the cornerstone of a nation's energy, is handling the challenges of the 21st century.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? It's this incredibly complex balancing act. On one hand, you've got to provide essential energy and drive the economy. On the other, you've got to be socially and environmentally responsible. So, how do they do it? Let's find out.
Just look at this. This gives you a real sense of the sheer scale we're talking about. This is Bharat Coking Coal Limited, or BCCL, and it's not just one company. It's this huge, sprawling network of mines and processing plants. As a key part of Coal India, it's pretty much the beating heart of the country's entire energy grid. But to really get what BCCL is all about, you gotta look past the mining itself. This story is about so much more than just digging coal out of the ground. It's about what that coal does. It powers a whole nation's economy. So where does all this coal actually go? Well, this chart tells a really fascinating story. A staggering 78%, yeah, you heard that right, 78% goes directly to the power sector. That one number tells you everything you need to know about how critical BCCL is to keeping the lights on for millions and millions of people and businesses all across India. That's a huge responsibility. And the impact? It goes way beyond just energy. Get a load of this number. Over 1,800 crore rupees. That's how much money BCCL paid directly to state and central governments in just 1 year. We're talking royalties, taxes, the whole shebang. That's a direct investment in nation building. Okay, but you can't just power a country in the 21st century by being big. You also have to be smart. You have to modernize. So let's take a look at how BCCL is really changing the way mining is done. This phrase right here, it perfectly sums up their new game plan. It's all about using technology not just to be more efficient, but to build a smarter and, frankly, a much safer operation from the ground up. And this isn't just some corporate buzzword, right? They're putting real tech to work. We're talking AI-powered cameras for security, RFID barriers at weighbridges to make things faster and more accurate. They've even automated how they dispense diesel. Every single one of these little innovations adds up to a much more efficient and transparent system. And all that tech is also absolutely crucial for what matters most, keeping the miners safe. You can really see they're committed here. There's specialized training, advanced geology management, that's basically managing the rock layers to prevent collapses, and constant round-the-clock monitoring. This is all about making a dangerous job as secure as possible for thousands of people. But look, a modern company isn't just about shiny new tech, is it? It's about people. So let's check out how BCCL invests in what the source material calls social capital. Basically, it's a relationship with its employees and the communities where it works. And that investment, it really starts from within. What you're seeing here is an executive training program all about safety. When you upskill your own people, especially on something so critical, you're building a stronger, more resilient company from the inside out. And that sense of investment doesn't stop at the company gates. Here, we've got a health camp for contract workers. It might seem like a small thing, but it speaks volumes about how the company sees its responsibility to the entire community that supports its work. And their CSR efforts, their corporate social responsibility, it's pretty wide-ranging. They're building schools, running job training programs, and backing local healthcare. So what they're doing is trying to create a positive legacy that goes far beyond just the business of mining coal. All right, now for the big one, the elephant in the room, the environment. How does a company that literally takes from the earth give back? This is where we get to the most critical balancing act of all, and it's all framed around this idea of natural capital. This slide, wow, it tells such a powerful story, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the stark reality of industry, but on the right, you see the promise of restoration. BCCL is actually taking old, mined-out lands and turning them into these thriving eco-parks. They're turning industrial scars into green spaces. And get this, they're also investing in the future of energy. This picture, that's not a coal mine. That is a 20-megawatt solar power plant. It's a really clear signal that even a coal giant is starting to embrace the green energy transition and look to a more sustainable future. So what is this natural capital thing anyway? Well, it's actually a pretty smart way of looking at it. It's about thinking of all the natural resources a company uses: water, land, energy, everything as a form of capital, something you have to manage wisely. By thinking this way,
BCCL is trying to make sure that powering the nation doesn't come at an unsustainable cost to the planet. And they're taking real practical steps to deal with their immediate impact. I mean, we're talking about things like fog cannons and giant mechanical sweepers to control dust, plus online air quality monitors. These are all tangible, on-the-ground measures to shrink the environmental footprint of their day-to-day work. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, what do you see? Well, it's the story of a legacy industry that's right in the middle of a massive transformation. It's about that delicate, difficult balance between powering India today and building a sustainable tomorrow. And this quote from BCCL's chairman really sums up the whole spirit of their journey. It's a reminder that this kind of progress, it's not a solo act. It requires partnership, cooperation, and a shared vision for what's next. And that leaves us with a huge critical question. BCCL's story is really a snapshot of a global challenge. Yeah, they're clearly taking steps in the right direction. But in a world facing a climate crisis, the real question is, can old energy truly power a new, sustainable India? And maybe more importantly, can it do so fast enough?